Looking back, how do you know your church died? That's the topic we are discussing today. It is based off of my dad, Thom Rainer, one of his best-selling books, Autopsy of a Deceased Church. I got it right here.
Second best-selling book of the 42.
Is it really? Second best? I didn't realize that. The scalpel makes me queasy. I get.
Oh, do you know the story about the original cover?
I don't.
So the original cover was a body covered with a sheet. But when you looked at it, it looked like someone was wearing a KKK outfit.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And fortunately, late Jennifer Lyle looked at it, and it had already been printed. Well, no, it was already to go to the printer. It had not been. There's another book that had already been printed where forward was misspelled. They had to tear them all up. But this was ready to go to the printer, and they caught it, and they just redid it. Because she said, look at that. Turn it just a little bit sideways. And it looks like the pointed KKK hat and all that.
That's terrible.
I should have, I don't know if I still have that, but that could have been one of the biggest, because I was president of Lifeway then.
Right.
I mean, you think about just the pushback any author would get, but man, and you think about it just being the wrong thing.
Well, I will take the scalpel over that. That is for sure. I'm known to be queasy. So for some reason, I'm known to be queasy. And so the idea of scalpel, but it's pointed and it makes a point.
Yes.
It is the idea of looking back, and obviously the idea of an autopsy it's tough. It's tough. And so that book that you wrote 10 years ago, roughly 11, 12 years ago, it was tough, but it was needed. Because there's the idea of learning, like what went wrong, what happened, and is this something that can be prevented? And so what we're doing over this episode, this is part 2 of Autopsy of a Deceased Church in 2025. What we're doing, by the way, my name's Jess Rainer. I'm here with my dad, Thom Rainer. What we're doing over these 2 podcasts is really an updated and revised edition to this book on the spot. And we're asking the question, what parts of the book still apply and what's new? And so far over the last episode, we look at 4 reasons. We talked about the loss of hope. These are signs. These are warning signs that your church is nearing its end. Loss of hope, looking for only transfer growth. There's no evangelistic outreach, and thinking that the past is the hero. You're always trying to get back to the past. Those are warning signs. If you're experiencing those in your church, that maybe you're not on the right track, and maybe that in your future, the doors are going to be closing. And so the hope is, as we talk about these things, it'll bring awareness, and that you'll be able to think forward and think future again. And so we're going to be talking about the next 4 reasons. And before we do that, we want to thank Cheney and Associates. Cheney and Associates is one of our sponsors for this podcast. They are an amazing, amazing accounting firm that only does the local church. That's it. That's all they do is the local church. And so if you're looking for someone who can help you in your church with finance and bookkeeping and accounting needs, check out Cheney and Associates. You can go to the website, CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. They want you to lead your church. And so they're going to handle all the numbers. They know time is precious. They know stewardship matters. They can help with both. They really are a partner. And that's, if you ever talk with them, that's their mindset. They really are a good partner alongside. That's what they make you feel like that. And it's because they are. And
they know the local church.
They do.
You don't go to an accounting firm that just knows it as well as Cheney does. I mean, that's their heartbeat.
So go check out CheneyAssociates.com/church answers if you have any of those needs. So let's jump into the second set, reasons 5, 6, 7, and 8 of some warning signs that maybe the church is headed down a path it shouldn't be headed down. And we know the challenges are real, but there's also the opportunities to respond. And that's the whole point. So reason or warning sign number 5 is failure to move from a denominational paradigm. Explain that one.
I'm going to explain it, but I want to give a little prefatory comment that maybe I should have done in the first set of 4. One of the motivations for my writing this book was a story from my father. When my sister was born, lived a few weeks, unexpectedly died, and they didn't know why. And so they had an autopsy. He insisted on being in the room.
Hmm.
for the autopsy. I've never heard of a. He said, I want to find out what happened to Amy.
Hmm.
And they said, we'll tell you. He said, no, I want to be there. Uh, it was a tumor on the heart. I don't quite understand all the implications about that. But the point is, he wanted to find out what happened to his daughter
Hmm.
and why. And so, on a different level, I'm not trying to compare what and by the way, this sister predeceased my birth. My parents had planned on having 2 kids, so I came into this world because their second child died. So looking at that, I wanted to find out why churches are dying, not because of morbidity, not because I have this curiosity that's a little bit sick. I wanted to help living churches.
Right.
I wanted to point to that. And let me just remind you, we'll put this in the show notes. There is a companion book to this that was written many years later called Anatomy of a Revived Church.
Yeah.
And it's not just any church having revitalization, it's churches that were on the precipice of death turning around. So check that book out as well. Anyway, a lot of prefatory comments, yes, but I didn't talk about it the first time around.
No, that's good. That's good. And I think it's helpful, a little bit. Anytime you get to hear the why behind an author, sometimes they put it in their book, but it's sometimes really cool to hear it, from directly from their mouth of why did they write? Well, the fifth, we're looking at 8 reasons, 8 warning signs. The fifth one I mentioned was the failure to move from a denominational paradigm. Break that down for us.
So many of the churches that have closed their doors are in denominations. I would say it is more common for a denominational church to close than a non-denominational church. Just at this point in history, I see a lot more denominational churches closing than I do non-denominational. Many of the denominational churches define success or define health as returning to the programs that their denomination always had. And
Okay.
so
Give an example of that.
Well, say you were in a Southern Baptist church. Your definition of health will be a traditional Sunday school, a traditional church training program, a traditional prayer meeting, the programs that they had. Your definition of success would be a certain percentage allocation to the mission fund called the cooperative program. All of those are good, but sometimes the definition of success does not fit a denominational paradigm because most denominations do not look at conversion growth as one of their successful metrics and emphasize it within the church. Southern Baptists did, since I'm talking about them, Southern Baptists did for a season, but way back when, like 2004, I wrote an article that basically, a research article that basically projected the decline of the Southern Baptist Convention by its lack of evangelistic emphasis. It was called a resurgence not yet realized. And I got in trouble because of it. Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. I put a chart on there on where the denomination was going to head. I nailed it. I'm not that smart. It's just I could see where it's been and I could tell you where it's going. And so denominational paradigms can be good, but if the purpose is to return to the glory days of the denomination, that's the same thing where the past is hero, one of the points we brought up for the local churches, where you're looking at a certain way that you did church. Some of that is denominationally defined. And so churches that have a certain denominational paradigm, you won't get this because you haven't been in a heavy denominational church for a long time. I mean, you've had loose affiliations and that, but this is something that many of these churches do. It's not just SBC, it's Lutherans meeting with the Lutheran Church tomorrow, it's Presbyterians, it's Methodists, and working with a new denomination, Global Methodists. And some of those churches, not all of them, but some of them are defining their former denomination, not theologically, but methodologically, as the paradigm they want to return to. There may be some aspects of it they should, some aspects of it they shouldn't. So that's what I'm talking about there.
You're saying that that's the goal, though. Like
Yes.
if that's the whole point. If that's your vision, if that's your future, that could be a major warning sign.
It is a warning sign. Definitely so.
So failure to move from a denominational paradigm. That was our fifth warning sign. Our sixth warning sign is failure to see the promising world of co-vocational. All right, you got to break that one down too.
All right. Bivocational has been the traditional terminology. A pastor would be at a smaller church. The church could not afford to pay him a full-time salary. And so that pastor had another job in the marketplace, in the secular world. That's the traditional model. So he was bivocational, two vocational, in other words,
Mm-hmm.
one foot in the church, one foot in the marketplace. The proper terminology today is co-vocational, because most everybody these days is very familiar with two or three or four different streams of income or supporting yourself. So don't limit it to just two. So that's one point, just the terminology. The second point is this: a church that intentionally goes to co-vocational, not by financial hardship, but by a new paradigm, those churches more than likely are going to be some of the healthiest churches,
So,
because they're going to invest their money, their funds, and their time more into ministry than people. It's not limited just to the pastor. Look at the church at Spring Hill. Everybody is co-vocational. Everybody.
mm-hmm.
You do some things on the side, but your primary vocation is a church. But Derek is co-vocational. No, Maddie,
Maddie. Yeah.
Maddie is co-vocational.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, and then you have some that are volunteer, but I would consider those co-vocational as well, because they have key ministry roles in the church.
Right.
That's the model of the future,
Yeah,
because
we have six part-timers that are all of them are four of them are co-vocational, two are just part-time.
okay,
Yeah.
well, so, some see that as a model of failure. It's a model of success if it's intentionally done.
So again, going back to the whole difference between bivo and covo, bivocational and co-vocational. Bivocational, the way I've always heard it, the end game is to become full-time in the church.
Right.
Co-vocational is an intentionality of having one foot in the church and one foot in the marketplace. There's no desire to be full-time at the church. Is that correct?
That is exactly right. Chuck Lawless and I have been working on a consultation with a church in West Palm Beach. And it's a mega church. And this church has a lot of full-time staff, but they're now intentionally moving more of their staff to the co-vocational model. They just hired a groups leader who is also a very successful real estate broker.
Hmm.
And he's not going to give that up. He's still going to be the group's leader. And so the church is Grace Fellowship. I wanted to distinguish it because some people think I'm talking about Jimmy Scroggins Church, Family Church. Well,
Sure.
this is Grace Fellowship, another large church. We are working with them, and Chuck Lawless is actually coaching this new groups leader so that he can learn groups while he's co-vocational with the church.
So the idea is that, what's a warning sign? What's a warning sign that you as a church, maybe you're on a path towards closing your doors? It's the lack of failure, as you said, the failure to see the promising world of co-vocational. This is a a perspective shift for a church. At the end of the day, it's like, we may never have a full-time pastor, and being okay with that, or even desiring that,
Or
and
you may
seeing that
not have
there's a whole other
full-time
world out
staff.
there.
You
What's
could have
that?
a full-time pastor, but not staff.
Right.
In fact, we at Church Answers have been working to equip pastors with that. We have a resource called My Church Staff, and that resource provides the training for someone in your church on an ongoing basis. Every single month, we have two positions right now. One is a stewardship or generosity minister, and the other one is a hospitality or welcome minister. I mean, most churches, that would be a luxury to have a staff person in that position.
Sure.
Well, we provide them the ongoing resources and the support for $100 a month in either one of those categories. We're trying to move churches to the thoughts of co-vocational because it's very healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an opportunity for sure. And so if you've never even thought about it, maybe this is something to begin to think about.
Exactly.
We're at that's number 6, and we're looking at again 8 reasons in total, or 8 warning signs that a church may be nearing its end. Uh, we just covered number 5 and number 6 in this episode. We covered the first 4 in the previous episode. And so I think this is a good time. We're talking about really this is a failure to see forward so far. I feel like that's been kind of the theme of the first 2 is failure to look forward. I think, one of the great ways to look forward is by partnering sometimes with other organizations that are forward thinking. And so you want to talk about an organization that has been forward thinking for quite a long time. It is Upward Sports. Upward Sports is one of our sponsors for this podcast. They do a tremendous job of helping churches reach their community through sports. And talk about forward thinking, they have pickleball. They saw that happening fast, and now they're able to actually help churches have pickleball. They do lots of other sports. I mean, basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, pickleball, running for adults. They got all these different options that they can help you begin to think about moving forward and being that neighborhood church, really jumping in and providing the resources to be a welcoming space for families. And so if you're interested in learning more about what Upward does, go to upward.org/church answers, go to upward.org/pickleball, and just maybe look ahead and think about what you can begin to do, because we don't want your doors to close. So again, we're looking. Go ahead.
You said in the last episode that a pickleball facility had opened near my house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they had converted old retail space, I guess, into.
Yeah, it's like a pickleball club where they're indoor courts with hangout spaces. I drove by it and I saw the sign just very briefly. But that is a business. Retail space where you live is not cheap. And so this is an indoor pickleball club. It's like a hangout kind of place is the way they described it.
Oh,
so
wow.
How much more could that be if that's the church?
Love it. I love it. So, go check them out. Pickleball church, yes.
So we got 2 more of 8 warning signs that a church may be nearing its end. Again, what we're doing is we're looking at Autopsy of a Deceased Church, which was written by my dad, and we're asking the question, what does that look like today? That book was written in 2014, 2015, and we're asking the question, what does that look like today? Are these warning signs still there? So we got 2 more we're going to look at. Our 7th warning sign is deferred maintenance comes due. I feel like it needs like a dun 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 with it.
This is right. This is right toward the end of the cycle.
Okay, this is a late warning sign.
Late warning sign. By the time it happens, it's hard to reverse. And what happens is most churches, and even people who have homes, but most churches do not keep up with the maintenance of their church. They put it off. We're not going to spend money there. We're not going to spend money there. And as a result, they end up having a lot of maintenance come to you. That's what deferred maintenance is. Your oldest brother, Sam, inherited a church in Southwest Florida, in Bradenton, Florida, and he has $2 million plus of deferred maintenance and air conditioning bills. Oof. And they're raising the money. He inherited it. Now they have a reserve system in place, so his successor will not do it, but they've almost raised all the money for all the air conditions. They're replacing those that fail and then replacing those that are almost failing. But had they been a church that was half their size, they would not have been able to do this. And they've been blessed by some deep pocket givers, if you will, and just regular givers for that matter, to get to this point. Here's the point. When a church has so much deferred maintenance and it looks at its checking account and it can't do anything about it, they have to close the doors.
Right.
I did a consultation at a church in Knoxville, and they had yellow tape around half of their facilities. The city had come in and condemned them and wouldn't let people in. Well, that church was looking for a silver bullet that I could not provide. Yeah. And so it's time to close the doors. And you get to this point, it's too late.
Yeah. I guess too, even if you're thinking, well, that is too late. Well, how do I catch that earlier? What is your deferred maintenance?
Got to find out what it is first.
Yeah, it's a good question. How much in deferred maintenance? And that's something, we're a younger church, but even now we're a younger church that bought an older building, and we know we have, I guess technically we don't have deferred maintenance, but we know that there are some things coming due soon. And so we're preparing for that. We got all these, again, AC units, man, those things, it costs a lot.
Don't tell me about that, please.
They cost a lot. So even you may be thinking, well, I want to avoid that one. When's the last time you've had a deferred maintenance plan done? When's the last time you've thought about what's coming? Those are some things that you can begin to think about to prepare for the future. Again, these are all forward thinking things.
And by the way, we had a sponsor come on one of our shows. Name was Tim Cool. He's a great friend of ours, and he has a company by the name of Smart Church Solutions. And that company, that's all they do is work on facilities of churches, and they're the best at letting you know what your deferred maintenance is, and then helping you to catch up.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Our eighth and final warning sign. Again, we're taking Autopsy of a Deceased Church, applying it to today in 2025. Here's our eighth warning sign: the disappearance of meaningful prayer.
Prayer is the foundation of everything we do. Every church has some kind of prayer. Unfortunately, in many churches, it's more perfunctory. It's just the way we pray. It's kind of like the blessing before the meal for many people. Just get it out of the way. Right. Meaningful prayer is hard to define, but it's really when God's people are praying, and it's not just words that are being uttered. And many churches do not have a meaningful prayer ministry or meaningful prayers within the church. Yeah. And that can be at any stage.
Yeah. Well, if you could wrap this all up, if you could give us a big summary, if maybe a church is listening, a church leader is listening to these past two podcasts, and they said, oh, 4 or 5 of those really hit with me. Yeah, we're getting there, 2 or 3. What would you say, having done the Autopsy of a Deceased Church in 2014, having looked at it today from 2025 perspective? I know there's not any silver bullets, but where would you start? Where would you start if a church had 5, 6 of these?
I'll start with the reason we created the Hope Initiative. We created the Hope Initiative for churches, any church for that matter, but we had in mind when we created this churches that were almost out of hope and ready to close. And we said it cannot be something that's expensive. It has to be just prayer anointed and evangelism motivated. And it's that I'd say take that first step, take that jump start, take that 30 days, which is the Hope Initiative.
Right.
And take a handful of people through it. If the whole church goes with it, fine. But take at least a handful of people with it and then see what happens. I'm meeting with the church tomorrow. Attendance down to 40. And one of the things I'm going to be talking to them about is, hey, you've given me a list of about 50 things that you want to correct in your church. No. Let's focus on one thing. Let's focus on the prayed over Great Commission, which is basically what we'll be doing.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. It's such an encouragement, and God's ready to use it. I think God's sometimes he's just looking for those available hands and just some people who are running after it. Well, before we wrap this one up, again, I want to thank Cheney and Associates one more time. They are an accounting firm for the church. In fact, they got their own podcast. It's called the Church Advisory Podcast. And
excellent.
They're all about helping churches with administrative and financial needs. So they're talking about some of those pertinent topics that affect today's church. And so go check them out at the Church Advisory Podcast. If you're looking for them to come alongside of you and just partner for your bookkeeping and finances, go to CheneyAssociates.com/church answers. They are all about having you gain clear financial insights to guide your ministry decisions with confidence. They're there to help and partner with you. And so go check them out. We love them. They're all about using their decades of experience to help you. And so thank you so much. Well, this has been good. This has been, again, it's a little bit of a treat. I hope all of our listeners understand that this is not a common thing where an author comes back and does a revised and updated edition via podcast.
It's true.
So two cool episodes. If you missed the first one, go back and check out the first one. But ultimately, at the end of the day, our hope is that your church will be thriving. It'll be a great commandment, a great commission church that is out there sharing the gospel and seeing more and more people come to know Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord. And so that's our heart for you. It's our heart for these podcasts. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.